You know what? Whatever.
Huh.
Stand up.
He's really picking pinky though.
What?
Why are you sitting back here? Let's move up. Let's push him out. Let's hurt him.
What'd you think of the Ronin?
It's pretty nice. It kept, for when I was playing with it, before I blew out the fuse, it kept up pretty well. I was able to spam relatively good. It put down suppressing fire. It's accurate. Once it was dialed in, it was shooting lasers. I could easily peg 150 feet, no problem.
What'd you think of the trigger response?
Pretty good, especially for a stock gearbox. Snappy, responsive. You can feel when it shoots and when where the brake is.
Hee
So the T6 trigger response is pretty on point. I'd say it's similar to maybe a like an ARP9 or like a Firehawk or like a real snappy G&G or a snappy Crytek. About on par with that. Magazine feeding, the Speed-Q bean mags need a little extra tugging and pulling. The feeding is just fine. It's just the seating of them is a little challenging. Hop-up was fine, accuracy was fine. I was using mostly 2.8s and 2.5s, and the hop-up was great. I didn't really need to do a whole lot. No feeding issues. The gun came with a 20 amp, and the first thing we tried through it was an 11 volt battery, and it blew it. So then I put a 25 amp in there, and it works just fine. So I got a 25 in it right now for a fuse, and I'm running mostly 7s and 11s on a few rounds.
accurate and like gets babies downrange very well.
Even with the rain, how is it performing?
It's performing pretty well. Like the groupings are nice. It wasn't like too heavy or getting very cold.
How's the trigger response?
Very like sudden, even with a 7.4 non-one.
How is it compared to some of the other snappier trigger responses from other guns?
It performed pretty well for the price. Compared to like Crytek or something, it was pretty decent.
What magazines were you using?
Using speed QBs.
How were they feeding and fitting?
Feeding very well. The it's a little tight, but once you got it past that, it fit perfect.
What'd you think of the Ronin?
It was great. The trigger response was amazing. Fired every shot on EF mags. Murder mags were a bit too big for the mag well, so they didn't feed all the time. But the trigger response was great. The hop up was dialed in, didn't jump around at all during the shots. It fed every shot, and yeah.
What's the trigger response similar to on another gun?
It's tighter than, say, like a speed trigger on a built gearbox, but it's
comparable to.
I'd say the Firehawks, maybe.
I liked it. It was good.
What'd you like about it?
I liked that the trigger response was snappy. That it was good for like long range and everything. Something I didn't like about it was that how the speed QB mags were a little bit harder to fit.
So you had problems feeding the speed QB mags into the mag well?
No, it fed pretty well. It was just hard to get them into the mag well.
Get them in and out? But the BBs fed still pretty
Yeah,
good, right?
perfect.
You said the distance and the ranges were good on it?
Yep.
How was the trigger response?
Very snappy.
Compared to like another gun you've shot in the past?
G&G, much better.
Which G&G?
Like the Firehawk.
You like it better than the Firehawks?